next question is, have you decided on a name for baby Wolfgang? Yes, we have. And then the part about sharing a birth vlog, I do plan to film the birth. When he gave it to me, I started bawling. I was so triggered. Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. If you haven't been here before, my name is Kian, and today we are going to do a little catch-up Q&A, gonna fill you in on all the things. I thought I would start with a little pregnancy update. I am about to be 32 weeks, and I'm definitely getting to that point where I'm very uncomfortable, and I feel like by the time I go to sleep, like by the end of the day and when I wake up, it literally feels like I've been hit by a bus. Like I'm just getting so sore and achy, and it's just getting quite hard to do everyday things. But with all that being said, I'm still very grateful that this baby is healthy and growing, and he's been moving so much. I feel like now it's like I can always feel him in my tummy, whereas even a few weeks ago he would kind of like almost sink into my stomach more. But now I feel like he's definitely growing a lot. I think I'm in that time period. He's gaining like a half a pound every week, so it makes sense why I'm feeling a bit troubled. I haven't been doing like trimester recap videos. I don't know what, I like wanted to really like vlog my trimesters, but that didn't really work out. So have not been doing those, but maybe I'll do like one. I want to do like a video of how I'm preparing for labor and like nesting, and then maybe I'll do like one more sit down kind of answering all the things pregnancy closer in like a few weeks. Also sharing some of like my favorite products, things like that. But I thought I would share like one of my new pregnancy must-haves for this current season that I'm in, and that is baby wipes, because nobody told me how hard it is to wipe with a big bump. Like I am having the most difficult time wiping, and I always feel kind of just like smelly and gross. So baby wipes, that has been an essential. I got a new pregnancy pillow, so I'm like rotating between, or I'm like using 2 pregnancy pillows, and that has actually been great since I got that one in. But I also have been waking up really early and not getting enough sleep as I probably need. I'm not a very good napper, but I'm hoping like my body will just start to force me to take naps now that we are in the 3rd trimester. But I slept until 10 this morning, so that was good. That was really good. Also thought I would give you an update on the baby registry. I finished putting it together. I feel like it was honestly like it was kind of stressful to come up with the baby register. Like I put a lot of pressure on myself to like really make sure it was a good baby registry, and I feel like I did put a lot of thought and good things on there. So I know a few of you asked if you can look at it for some ideas, so I'll have that linked in the description for you guys. There are some things that aren't on there that I still have gotten, just either because someone had already bought it for us, or we got it on Facebook Marketplace, so it's not showing on the registry because I just deleted it if we had it already. So that would be like our car seat, our stroller, our crib mattress, which we got the new in-crib mattress, the baby carrier I got, that's not on there because I ended up buying that myself. The pack and play we found on Facebook Marketplace for travel. So you may notice like not all of the staples are on there. So just keep that in mind if you're looking for inspiration for your baby. You might notice like there's not a ton of like clothes, toys, things like that, because I think those are just things that you kind of naturally accumulate, or people will naturally want to buy you without asking. So I try to put more essential stuff on there, so hopefully it's a good guideline. I also had 2 of my friends who just had babies or have had multiple kids. I sent them the link to the registry and said, hey, can you like look through this? Tell me what you think. I actually had 3 friends look through it, and that was so helpful because they would be like, hey, like I would not do those bottles, I would do these, or you definitely don't need that, or you need to add more nursing bras. Like, so they kind of went through and really helped guide me. But speaking of toys, I did not add any toys because also like it's very hard to figure out what toys are age appropriate. So all I'm doing for his like first 2 months is using the KiwiCo subscription box. If you haven't heard of them, they send developmentally appropriate toys every other month. So I feel like that just keeps things really simple. I didn't even have to think about it or like do research on what would be good for him to have the first 2 months of his life. And instead I just got a KiwiCo Panda Crate, and it's a subscription service. They send it every other month. This is the 0 to 2 month one that I got. So I'm really excited. So we got him a little tummy time pillow, a tummy time mirror. So I'm really excited to use all of these. Some contrast cards, which I know are great for babies. This is kind of just like a little comfort toy. And then this is kind of more like an educational book for the grown-ups to help me kind of learn a little bit more about what's in the crate, some DIY play ideas, and just learning different things about his development for the first 0 to 2 months. And then I will get another box when he is in the 2 to 4 range, because his development and like what he'll be interested will change. So if you guys are looking for like an easy way to keep your toys minimal, they do focus on more of like the monastery style toys, which I really want for him. I would definitely recommend getting like a KiwiCo crate. I feel like it just simplifies it. You won't have too many toys in your house like starting to build up. So definitely gonna keep using this. If you want to try KiwiCo, you can get 50% off your first month by using my code Kian. Okay, let's get into some of the questions you guys asked. The first question is, will you share a birth vlog and how are you preparing for labor? Like I said, I want to do a whole video of like preparing for labor. But some simple things that I'm doing is like rolling on my pregnancy ball, doing a lot of like hip opening movements on there, stretching when I can, doing deep squats when I can. I'm really practicing my breathing, especially if I'm in pain or stress, like really trying to like relax my face as much as possible in those moments, because during the contractions, that is the goal, is to like surrender to the pain and just like let yourself like be as relaxed as possible, because during the contraction is when the baby's moving and helping you progress. So it's important to stay as peaceful and relaxed as possible and just allow your body to move your baby. So for example, when I go and get my Brazilian wax, I'm like trying to practice like having a soft face and breathing. Like basically anytime I'm in pain, I try to take advantage of those moments. I practice my breathing when I poop, because it's actually quite hard to push without holding your breath. So that I have been practicing. But yeah, there's just like a ton of different small things. I'm also doing a class with a doula, a birthing class with a doula, talking with my midwife. I think I'm getting to that point in a couple weeks here where I'll start more of like, you know, the eating dates, more pregnancy tea, and things like that. And then the part about sharing a birth vlog, I do plan to film the birth. And I think I love birth vlogs, and that's another way I'm preparing for pregnancy, is listening to a lot of birth stories. They're so helpful. One podcast that I've been loving listening to birth stories is called the Natural Birth Podcast. That one has some really fun ones. But yes, I do plan to share a birth video. I know I'll definitely film as much as possible. My friend's gonna come and help get clips of things. And I'm pretty sure I will post it, but I won't like say 100% I will, because who knows, I feel like that's like something that happens after giving birth, is like a total perspective shift on things, so that could happen to me as well, but I plan to share the birth vlog. Yes. Okay, the next question is, how come you never talk about your Hispanic heritage? That's funny. I feel like my mom has asked me this. Yeah, in case you don't know, I'm half Mexican. My mom is 100% Mexican. My grandparents immigrated to the US from Mexico. And then I think we have like I think it's a Spanish heritage from there. But I promise it's not like I'm avoiding it or hiding it. It's just something that I actually didn't grow up with a lot of exposure to the Spanish culture. My grandparents decided not to teach their kids Spanish because they had just moved to America and they didn't want them to have accents, I believe is the reason why, which is so sad. So my mom did not grow up speaking Spanish, therefore we didn't grow up speaking Spanish, so I feel like that wasn't like passed down to us. And then we went to Mexico, I think like once, like to Tijuana, I believe. We were in California and like took the train to Tijuana and like shopped on the border there. You know, at Christmas time we always would have tamales. Like there's like just small things like that, but it definitely wasn't ingrained in our upbringing, so I feel like it's just not something I would naturally and organically bring up all the time because I didn't have that experience growing up. But I hope that answers your question. I don't want to like force that into any, like, it's not like every video I'm gonna be like, just so you know, I'm half Mexican, you know, because it just wasn't I don't know, that just doesn't, I feel like someone who is Irish wouldn't be like, yeah, I'm half Irish in every video that they put out. So I do talk about it occasionally, but because it wasn't a huge part of my upbringing, it's like I don't really have that many things to share about it, unfortunately, which I think it would have been awesome to have more of that culture ingrained in us. Like, I've been watching Indian matchmaking and Jewish matchmaking on Netflix lately, and I think it's so cool how connected they all are to their culture, their traditions and values. But yeah, that was not my experience. But proud to be Hispanic. Not trying to hide it or anything, for sure. It's kind of more like my fun fact. Like when people are like, oh, what's an interesting fact about you? And I'm like, oh, I'm half Mexican. Next question is, have you decided on a name for baby Wolfgang? Yes, we have his name picked out. It was our #1 pick, and I didn't like want to commit to it fully, but now we're just like telling all of our friends and calling him by his name now. Kyle accidentally let his name slip in one of our Patreon videos. So it is definitely out there. I don't know if everyone will like it. It's definitely one of those names where like maybe not everyone will like it because it was the most unique option that we had from our top 3, but I like it and Kyle likes it, and that's what matters. So yeah, it will be kind of more of a unique name, but not like a made-up word. You've seen the word before. That's a little hint. You start a podcast. I remember you said like a year ago you'd like to transition from sharing your life on YouTube as a form of income. So I actually had planned to start a podcast with one of my friends, and we recorded the first 2 episodes, and I have not edited. This was months ago. I think this was right when I found out I was pregnant is when we recorded the first 2 episodes, and now she's pregnant. So maybe it will come together, and it's just like it was like a really busy season for both of us. We were both moving, now both pregnant. But I've definitely thought about starting a podcast, not necessarily for income at all, just more for fun. And I thought it would be really fun to do that with like a friend, like a girlfriend. But who knows if that will ever come to fruition. We will see. The next question, at what point in a dating relationship are you meant to start respecting the man? LOL. Well, I would say you should always try to respect men in general, people in general. I think that's great, but I think there is a really big difference between respecting somebody and submitting to somebody, because that is very different, and you are only called to submit to God and your husband, and I guess your parents when you're younger. So I would say it's important to practice respect throughout your entire relationship, but when it comes to submitting, that is definitely reserved for when you're married, and not even engaged, but married. I feel like your heart will start to change a bit through engagement, but I feel like the major challenges and call for submission is definitely in marriage. So I'm not sure, like, I don't think in dating you need to, like, agree with everything your boyfriend says, or like allow him to lead you when you're dating. Like, you want to look for those qualities, but that's not necessarily the role of a boyfriend, that's the role of a husband. So that's just something to keep in mind. Somebody asked, are you into personality psychology? Kind of, not really. I'm definitely not someone who's like following any kind of like personality psychology like really closely. But I will say we just did a 4-week or 5-week class with our pastors and a lot of the young adults at our church, and they went through some different, it was all about like getting to know yourself on a like spiritual and personality spectrum. I don't know what I'm saying, but we had to do a lot of different personality quizzes, like the Myers-Briggs. We did an evangelism style quiz. We did our like spiritual gifts quiz and things like that. And those were all super interesting, and I think really helped me understand myself better, especially the evangelism style one, because I never really knew, like, I never like called myself an evangelist, and Kyle always did. He's like, yes, you are. You just do it in a very different way than I do, because Kyle would do a lot of street evangelism, and that's not something that I feel called to do. So taking that evangelism style quiz was really interesting. So my style is invitational and interpersonal. So that means I evangelize by inviting people to events or to church or just different things where they may encounter the love of God. So that is something I do a lot, is always am inviting people to things. And then my second one was, I think, interpersonal, which was creating like really deep connections and trust with people first before kind of like talking to them about faith. So I thought that was really interesting. So in some ways, yes, I am, but I definitely think it can get a little bit of an idol, for sure. Like the Enneagram, I feel like can really become an idol, and it actually has caused me like to like question things about myself that like I shouldn't be, you know? So I try to avoid anything that would take my identity away from being a child of God. Okay, last question I'm going to do is, does your past ever make it hard to be intimate today? Do certain things bring you back? Yes, definitely. I just listened to this really good podcast on sex. It's actually about postpartum sex specifically, but I feel like if you've had sexual trauma, you will be able to relate to so much that they share in the episode. And if you've not had sexual trauma and just like want to hear a really open discussion about sex and marriage, this episode was so good. So I'd highly recommend that. But it definitely does make it harder to be intimate today. And there are things that definitely trigger. Like, for an example, Kyle was really sweet and bought us like this scratch off adventure book, and one had date night ideas and the other one was like more spicy things. And when he gave it to me, I started bawling. I was so triggered. And I think it just correlates to anything that feels like there's pressure or some kind of forceful, which was not his intention at all. It's just like a fun scratch off book for married couples to like do some spicy things in their sex life. Like, but it was such a trigger for me because it felt like a lot of pressure, and that is something that I experienced with my sexual encounters, was having to force myself to do something I didn't want to do. And so that was extremely triggering for me, and he was so sweet and apologized and felt so bad. But that is an example, whereas probably before those experiences that wouldn't have bothered me at all. I would have thought it was fun, would have like been totally like excited about it, but because of those experiences it brought up like a lot of pain, and honestly there's just so much I still need to work through sexually, and I feel like I've almost become numb to my body, to pleasure in some ways, and a lot of things make me uncomfortable that didn't before, or I'm like super in my head about sex, which makes it harder to enjoy or to initiate, or makes me feel awkward. So yeah, I would say those experiences definitely tainted my relationship with sex, and it's something I will have to really pursue to heal for a while. But definitely will link that podcast because I feel like that gave me a lot of hope and like practical ways to work on that. Alright guys, that is gonna, oh, I can see out here. Okay, that's gonna wrap up today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed hanging out and catching up. Let me know in the comments what you guys want to see. I'm officially done working at New Flora, which is bittersweet, but my body is very thankful to not have to go in and sit at a desk for 6 hours, because that was getting taxing. And like, I am like so astonished of the women who continue to work throughout their entire pregnancy, and I feel so grateful that I'm like able to now step back and only work from home to like be more flexible with like my body's needs. But oh my goodness, like women who are nurses or teachers and like are on their feet all day while pregnant, like, I mean, it's probably better for you than to be sitting at a desk. So like even women who are sitting at a desk, I feel like that's when I feel the worst, is when I'm sitting down all day. Bless you guys. Bless you. Like, you are amazing. You are like, I don't even know how to describe my admiration for you, because I feel so weak. But anyway, I'm very grateful for this next season where I can really kind of ease my way and do work from home and create my own schedule this way. So I'm very grateful for that, and it's really because of you guys that I get to do that. So thank you so much. I'm definitely not a words of affirmation person, so it's like hard for me to give words. So I know I don't say it a lot, but just want to say that I appreciate you guys, and you really have made a lot of this possible. So thank you so much for that.